What's going on, Toy Fam? Project Piper Customs here, and we're back in the custom cave for another project. And this time I wanted to take you on the project journey from the beginning. I say from the beginning, it's more like 90% because I've already gone in and done a little bit of work already. So I apologise for that. I did want to take you from the start, but I just got too eager and forgot to turn the camera on. But I stopped myself and brought you along at this point so I can go over what I've done briefly already. And obviously this one from my Endgame lineup. As you can see, the next entry that's going under the knife is, of course, the Endgame Hulk. And this one is from zdtoys. Got this one off eBay, where everyone thinks it's a knockoff, but it's not. It's just a really badly made Japanese official figure. It's more along the lines of the basic figures that Hasbro put out under their Titan line, or whatever it's called. You know, the basic ones that are for kids. The ones below the Marvel Legends. This is what it feels like, just a Japanese version of that. Not a bootleg, it is official. But the figure is still pretty poor, in my opinion. Yeah, so got this off eBay. As you can see, there's the box here. Anyone who's got the figure knows the box comes in, and it comes with two sets of hands, open and closed. Obviously one fist is on the floor, so you got a pair of open, one really open, one sort of semi, and then two fists. So that's pretty neat that it does come with interchangeable hands, but obviously the articulation is very limited, and the aesthetics of the articulation is absolutely atrocious. But this is really only going to be a display piece, so the articulation doesn't really bother me that much for what I'm going to do with it, and I'll get into that in a second. I just really didn't want to shell out for a Diamond Select, which is the one of the other two companies that are putting out this version of Endgame Hulk, which is a version I absolutely hate. Personal opinion, I thought Hulk was the weakest link in that entire movie. But yeah, so the Diamond Select is going to come in scaling like this, not even in camera frame. Okay, yeah, so he's going to come in huge, and of course the SH Figure Arts, the other company that's doing one, is just going to be seriously overpriced for a design of a character I love, but a design that I absolutely hate. Didn't think this was a good look for him at all. I thought he was considerably depowered and underused and wasted in that movie. And yeah, so for the look I'm going to go with him, as I can't have him not in the lineup, I thought I'm going to go for the cheap Japanese version instead. And this is about £25, something like that on eBay. And so yeah, and I thought, as it's this cheap, I don't mind, you know, tearing it to pieces. I'm not any quarrels about that at all. So let's get into what I'm going to be doing with it. Now, obviously, his main importance of the movie, his only real importance, was obviously, spoiler alert, if you've not seen the movie right now, what the hell are you doing? Go and watch it. And those of you who have, carry on listening. Is obviously when they get all the stones and put Tony's gauntlet, he decides he's the only one that can snap his fingers and bring everyone back, because Gamma is running through his veins, unlike Thor's. And so yeah, so he has to do it, and in doing so, in the act of snapping, all of his arm gets burnt to a cinder. And Iron Man comes along, puts it out, and he's still ready to kick ass in the final battle. In the picture that I'm using for a reference, which I'll shove up now, as you can see there, it's all burnt to a crisp. So that is what we're going to be emulating here on this custom, as it's really only going to be for display. I'm not worried about eliminating some of the articulation on this arm. I'm really going for the look. So as you can see, that's the reason why I have his arm off, his fist off, sorry. And of course you can see him wobbling there. We're going to get into what I've done just there in a moment. But yeah, this one is the better version just for display, as he is obviously in the movie. Being that he's merged with Bruce Banner, they have slimmed him and scaled him down slightly compared to the size he used to be. Just give you an idea, obviously you saw him there just next to the Diamond Select Hulk, but here he is next to the Infinity War SHF version. As you can see, there's not much in it height wise, just a little bit smaller, and he scales really well in terms of how he was in the movie compared to the others. As you can see here, I've got obviously my Thor, my Cap. I've also got the zdtoys version of their armored Thanos, which I actually really like, far better than this one. Articulation is still a bit weak, but you know, I do like the paint apps. He's going to get repainted. He'll probably be the next one on the docket after we complete him. Nothing wrong with the Mayfix Spidey at all. I just wanted to put him there for the lineup, and of course Mr. Cap over there, which was the last one you saw. So my intention for this, if I'll bring him forward, let me is obviously to mimic the entire burn scarring and charredness of his arm that you saw in that reference, all the way up to here. I'm pretty much going to probably be eliminating any articulation he has there. I may have it fixed in a little bit of a bend about there, okay, but as it's for display only. As you can see, yeah, this figure's fucking terrible. I've got to sort these shoulder pieces out, okay, because anyone who's got this figure knows that just moving them up and down, it cuts along where this piece is right there and just shreds the paintwork, as you can see, as it's doing so there. Okay, so let's get on and let me just talk about what I've done to him already. Okay, so what I've done to him already is I wanted this arm out, and if anyone knows who's a customizer, if you don't know, getting the shoulder pieces of arms out of figures, out of the figure itself, is no easy feat. Alright, so what basically the thing you have to do, and what most customizers really don't like doing, is you've got to crack open the torso, and the only way really to put it back is obviously you've got to damage the seam line, go along where the seam is, and you've got to damage it to bust it open, and then once you put it back together, any damages then you have to repair with sculpt work. And that's not a problem for me, as we'll be doing a lot of sculpt work on this arm. It's going to be fully sculpted texture of the burn. It's a particular texture that I've not really done before, so this will be new to me, so we'll be learning on the way. But yeah, so his entire left arm is going to be sculpted with the burn, and then going to go in for the repaint, and then I intend on hitting this entire thing with a matte coat to get away the dullness, add in some detail, just add in some black washes to the suit to make it really dull, and obviously going in and adding some details to the face, because that ain't a bad Hulk, Bruce Banner, what's his name, Mark Ruffalo face. They did all right on that one. Okay, so also first thing I did was I popped the upper torso out from the lower. Okay, as you can see, it's just a ball joint into a socket there. That's the first thing I did. That was easy. Getting it back in is not, so I'll need some heat for that. All right, so yeah, before I bring that in, get some better light. There you go, and you can see the sheen. We're getting rid of that, but yeah, there's some little details in there. The grey, we're going to be going in and doing all that. Okay, so here is the seam, and you can see where I've been going at it like crazy to get it away from the glue. Okay, so I've just stuffed a little screwdriver flathead in there and just kept working it. Okay, same for under here, there where the seam carries on, stuck it in there, worked it, kept going back and forth, worked both edges until they began to free themselves. I then went in and started attacking this part, which came away a lot easier. Okay, and eventually it led to a separation. All right, but unfortunately this middle bar, which houses the ball peg, obviously broke. Not too worried about that, as again I'm not too worried about the articulation at all, as it's mainly going to be for display, and this will just glue back together as they do match up again. Okay, and with this part out, as you can see, there is where the arms sit in, and of course that just frees out. So trying to get that out without cracking the torso would have been an absolute nightmare. Okay, and of course what's handy is that whole neck section comes out, and there you go. So I can easily just work on the head freely without having to worry about the body. All right, so both arms are coming out there. Not really going to do much with this one, just mainly this side. So now that I've got it free, I can get to work on it. So what the first thing is I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Dremel and just grind down all that detail. Okay, I'm probably going to glue the arm in position first. I may not, I may Dremel first and then glue the arm in position. We'll see how we get on. I've not really worked out 100% the kind of you know, layout of the plan of what order I'm going to do things. I'm literally just going to do it as as it comes along. You know, go with the wind, and just see, yeah, just see how we get on. There's going to be some bumps along the way, but I'm going to show you every step, just so you know. Us as customizers who have been customizing for a while, still learning. You know, there's a bunch of tricks out there that I haven't attempted yet, and I want you to be there along for every step of the journey. Okay, I'm not going to make this a long video, so I'm going to talk over parts that I am currently doing, and just to give you the general gist. But yeah, so first thing to do is obviously grind all of this down, all of that detail. Okay, and then set this arm in just a bit of a position like that, possibly fill in these gaps. As you can tell how ugly the articulation is, look at that, it's fucking terrible. All right, haven't decided if I'm going to that yet. I'm just flirting with the idea at the moment, seeing what works, give it a little bit of dynamic posing. But yes, so that is job number 1, and yeah, let's get to it, shall we? Okay, full disclaimer here, as we're using the Dremel, definitely have some eye protection on, because you don't want any of the flashing and debris that's pinging off from all the sanding to get into your eye. So disclaimer, definitely wear some goggles and eye protection. And as you can see, I'm using the sanding drum attachment for my Dremel, and we're just going over the entire arm, getting rid of all of that surface texture that's been sculpted on, as we want some nice rough and smooth combination of the surface to sculpt on, give us a base. And yeah, so I decided not to glue the elbow joint in place just yet, as I wanted some freedom to get in all the nooks and crannies with my Dremel. But yeah, just going over the entire arm, getting all of that flashing and all the surface texture off, and it will give us a nice base to work on for the sculpting. Alright, brushing away all the debris, give myself a nice area to work on still again. Alright, as it is messy work. So as you can see here, all of the surface texture has been Dremeled off, but there's still quite a lot of excess flashing from where the sanding drums chewed it all up. Alright, there you go. So what we want to do is we're going to go and get this, which is a sanding sponge. It's squishy, but there's different sanding textures on each side, and this will conform around whatever it is you're sanding and give a nice even sanding surface area. So we're just going to go along the whole arm with this and just get rid of all that excess that's still on there from the Dremel. Alright, and this was previously used on plasterboard, hence why the whole arm is turning white right now. It's all the dust from the plaster, but it's fine, we'll be washing it off later. But yeah, just going around this entire arm and giving it a nice old once over to get it all nice and smooth. Okay, yeah, there you go. And once we've done that, then we can get on with gluing the elbow joint. Alright, now we've given it a little rinse underwater to get most of that plasterboard dust off from the sanding sponge. As you can see there, it's all nice and smooth, most of the excess flashing is come off. Alright, and now it's time to glue the elbow joint. So here we go, I'm using the super glue, industrial grade HV, which is high viscous, that word again. And we're going to be taking this standing knife blade, and what we're going to be doing is these little flat surfaces in the ugly elbow joint, just there, and there. We're going to be just scoring some lines and some scratches into that, and what this will do is this will give the super glue, once the super glue is applied, it will sink in, and then once you close the joint, and it will basically give it a nice grip to hold the joint in place. Okay, so a rough surface when gluing is definitely preferred rather than a smooth surface. It's got more chance of holding firm and gripping, where it's got all those little cracks and scratches to sink into and really grip what it is you're trying to glue. So yeah, just getting the standing knife blade now. Okay, and we're going to be just scoring the inside of that. I'm just using, normally you can use a bit of rough sandpaper to get some scratches. I want to use this because I want some deeper scratches to the glue to adhere to. So yeah, just using Stanley, getting some good old deep trenches and scratches in on this side, and then we go along on all 4 sides, and then yeah, then it'll be time to glue. Okay, so it's been about 10-15 minutes to let the glue fully cure, and yeah, that's rock solid. That ain't moving whatsoever, so happy about that. And in that time, I also Dremeled off the surface texture from the suit that was on the hands, okay, because he also incurred some burns. So I just done the open hand, and I've done the fist as well, just got all of that surface texture from the sculpt off of that. Alright, so yeah, done those both, and now we have the hands and the arms, and both are prepped and ready for sculpting. Okay, and last phase of the prep is, as you can see here, I've just gone in with the Dremeled sanding drum and gone around the arm socket and really chewed it up. And I've also gone in across the top and chewed up some of that surface texture, as the burns will protrude and continue on to the suit. Also added a little scuff just there, and we're going to add some sculpted detail onto those parts too. Yeah, so let's get the arm and see how the two look together. Alright, so that's where we've got the arm, and we're going to open it up and slot it back in. Alright, and that's the benefit of having a cracked torso, even though it's a horrible part to do. Okay, there we are. Just get that back in there. Beautiful. And yeah, there we go. One prepped body and arm ready for sculpting. Alright, now this is going to be a longer project, so of course I couldn't get it all into one video, so I'm going to be breaking it down into 3 episodes, and this will conclude episode 1 and done in the concept and the prep work. And of course stick around for episode 2, and in that one we will be tackling the sculpting, and then we'll conclude in episode 3 with the final paint job and of course the final reveal itself as well. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like, subscribe and notification bell, and hit me up on my social medias at Project Piper Customs. I'd really appreciate it, and it all helps to helping the channel grow. Alright, and that's it, and I will see you in episode 2 for sculpting. Take it easy, and until then.